Welcome to Interview with a Lockpicker, brought to you by Broke Picks. Prepare to enter the shadows.
One. All right, this is Into the Shadows with Little Swamp Picker. Um, I'm so excited you stayed because I think we're having a great conversation and we could go down so many avenues.
Oh, absolutely. I'll I guess we can kind of jump right in where we were left off right before you hit play here.
Yeah.
The idea that I've had for the one hand tension, it started with just the idea of, well, I could just take some fishing line and hang a little weight off of like
Well,
an ergo style turner.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but let's give the audience a little bit of a background on why and what for your
Oh yeah,
means.
yeah, that probably makes a lot of sense. Um, So I started my Blue Belt project as I looked at the ideas that were out there, and one of the things that I've been kind of racking in the back of my mind was the closest thing I've got to a brother proceeded to lose his arm in a motorcycle accident. I won't call it tragic because he made poor decisions that got him there, and he's now living with the consequences of those. But nonetheless, there are some more unfortunate downsides, things like not being able to do things that he used to be able to do and having frustrations with trying to learn those things now non-dominantly and one-handed. So I was kind of looking for something to, introduce him to that wasn't something he'd ever experienced before and didn't have any expectations of what it felt like. And so I got to thinking about lock picking one day when I was like, well, how would I get him to pick locks one handed? Like, I could see non dominant, like one handed gets a little more interesting trying to manipulate a pick and tension with your pinky. And
Yeah.
he's affectionately what I refer to as left hand stupid, um, meaning that he can't do anything with his left hand really. Just does not have that same dexterity that he did his dominant hand.
Yeah.
Um, And so I got to just staring at a set of covert instruments, ergo turners, and I was like, I could use these. Like just looking at the orientation of how they hang flat and stay top of keyway at baseline. I'm like, I could just use this that already exists and mod it. Um, and initially I was just thinking, well, I'll just get a little bit of fishing line and just a weight right there, and then ta-da, it's done. But naturally I felt compelled to over engineer it because it's just
Oh,
who I
yeah.
am.
I'm the same way. I
And
over
so
engineer everything.
and so I was looking predominantly. I actually just ordered. I knew I shouldn't have put that 40 in there. Um, that's a 50. That's not gonna work. That will though. I was looking at these specifically from Covert Instruments, and I was like, if I notched the tail end of this right here, just scalloped both ends, I'd have a clean notch to hang on where it wouldn't want to slide down or try to ride down if the angle's bad, and would allow me to limit tension and leverage to exactly where I want it to be. So I started looking at that and I was like, you know what? That actually goes, other than that's really too small for that keyway. I was like, that really goes right there. And then I can just build that out. And then I got to looking and found some fishing weights. And it's like, all right, cool. If what I get, all of them are too heavy, I can just trim down to the size and spectrum that I wanted and give a full stack and assessment. So he can go, oh, okay, I'm picking a pack lock that I know is super lightweight. I might just throw like two pieces of fishing line on here as tension, as opposed to putting a weight like I would on like a Master Lock 3, where I could, hang a 10-pound weight from the side of it and it'd still pick.
You know,
So,
that is so awesome because the last couple of years I've been really struggling with my hands. I have on top of a a traumatic, uh, uh, on top of a traumatic brain injury after a motorcycle accident. um,
They'll do that to you.
I had my whole family suffers from what's called familiar tremors. Um, and then I'm getting older. I've got arthritis, and then you add a head injury, and I've broken my hands multiple times. This finger, I don't even know what's going on with that. Um, so I really started struggling with dimple picking to start off. So I had this idea for a dimple pick that I could use because you make the handle a little fatter. Yeah, it helps for a little bit, but with how sore my hands get so easily from that motion, I have a idea that I'm trying to put together to help people because there's a lot of us out there that have some disabilities and struggle with it, and I you know and Marson, I don't know if you know Marson, he's an amazing picker, and he has, I want to say, and God, don't hate me if I'm wrong. I want to say it's multiple sclerosis, and
Okay.
he is my. I don't know how the man does it. I don't know how the man does it. He can pick anything. He's a black belt picker. He's amazing. You know.
Yeah, I actually briefly met him the other day in LPU.
Yeah.
He popped in and we were chatting for a little while and serious, I think.
Yeah, and man, he's amazing. I it just it gets so painful for me that I I don't want to give up aspects of my picking and stuff. And then I look at him and I try to force through it, but then I realize there's some of us who aren't going to be able to force through it, and we just need a little bit of uh, a help, a little bit of maybe a redesign on something to give us a hand, because I think this is so important for manual dexterity. I think it would be good for elderly people. It really helped me because when I got hit on my bike, I broke my back in 3 places, got a head injury. I don't, honest to God, I don't know how old I am or what year it is right now. I couldn't tell you, you know. Um, but
I mean, I'd be hard pressed to knock you on that because I have to think really hard about the fact that I'm 35 and it's 2026. Like I only think about those things because I had to ask so many patients, and oftentimes I found myself casually just going, "What day is it?" as I'm looking at my watch to
yeah,
figure out what day it is.
and I think it would help so many people, so many veterans, so many the the mental aspect of it, the dexterity, hand-eye coordination, but some of us are going to just need that little bit of extra help, just like your friend that um with the missing arm, and a few people I know, and myself included, um it's not going to get better for me, and it's only going to
Yeah.
progressively get worse. And
So I have a question and I kind of have an image in my head, which is rare that I develop an image and I have no background on what you've kind of been working on or designing. Um, but the thought that came to my mind, just from the perspective of manipulating hands with trimmers and things like that, obviously, the bigger it is, the better off you are because the more of your hand you can use, the more stable it is.
Mhm.
Have you considered making some dimple pick tips for a disc detainer grip? Because that size, that structure lends itself really well to being able to pick on that rotational axis like that.
Oh yeah.
And I just had the thought, I was like, some injection mold pins and the right shaping and structure to that, Like you could take a disc detainer that has a large surface area for a hand and use that as your picking surface.
Yep. That's one of the avenues I've been thinking about going down, and I want to get a good design before I like publicly put it out there, which I don't know why, but I just want to make sure it's functional for at least me and maybe somebody else, before I put all my ducks out there, because I don't want to make any money off it. I don't want anything. I
Yeah,
want to put it out there for someone to.
it's like it's similar to the concept of like my thought with my tensioners. Like I want to put those out, and from the perspective of I want them to be available to the masses.
Yeah.
I would love somebody like Covert Instruments to pick it up, not because I'm shamelessly trying to plug anybody or anything. They're just where a lot of new people end up in the research about lockpicking, and
Mhm.
like if they took my concepts and added it into theirs and never paid me a dime of it, I would not hurt my feelings if they put those notches in there so that everyone else had the same access to it that what I'm building has.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I just, um, I got to get a prototype first, so I know that what's in my head is practical and can be practically used. But you know who you
Yeah.
need to talk with is lock picking engineer. That guy can pick anything one handed, and he does it for
And
fun.
oh, I know it's obnoxious. I actually used my Avis 7530 as my one-handed challenge pick, which was crazy because I opened this lock picking dimple for the first time like 24 hours prior, and that was the first dimple lock I'd ever picked.
Wow, that's a pain in the
And
ass little lock to pick, but
I do what I figured out and what surprised a bunch of people and the methodology since I'm on video that I used was I actually took this, I think it's a Sparrow's flat bar, and pinned it just right. As you can see, I bent the living hell out of it.
yeah,
Let me get the lock and frame there. And I just picked it almost traditionally because, most people come from the top of the keyway left hand side and try to come up with it. I came almost traditionally and just kind of worked my way through trying to figure out those set bottom pins on tension. And it's how I figured this thing out. And it just flows just right in this lock. And naturally, it's camera shy, so it's definitely not going to pick
oh,
while
that's
I'm
a
sitting here
real
trying to
thing.
make an example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a real thing. Don't feel bad. I have locks that we don't even want to go into it. My heart rate just went up about. But yeah, that's a
But
real
yeah,
thing.
I've got a video on my YouTube channel of me picking it one handed using pinky as tension. As I did that with this little bastard of a lock that most people go, oh God, I hate that thing. And I'm like, it's actually become one of my favorite locks to pick.
It was it's a pain. It was a my at least mine was a pain in the ass for me, because I think when I got that, I ordered it off of eBay, and I thought it was a bigger dimple lock than it was, and then it showed up and it's that big. And at the
Oh
time, I
yeah.
was in the middle of moving across the country, and I only had my huck set and some pocket picks that I carried with me. So my huck set, I've never modified at all. I use them how they came. I use them a lot, believe it or not. But those are way too big to fit in there. So I had to maneuver a ball picket, and I taught myself to teach pick um, dimple locks with ball picks and half diamonds, and things like that?
So I got these two at the same time. I actually ordered them from All Padlocks, which I know is a scary thought, but they drop ship direct from Avis. But I got the 30 and the 50 at the same time, and neither one of them was a size I expected.
Yeah.
I thought the 30 was going to be more 40 sized, and I thought the 50 was also going to be more 40 sized, and I got them and I was like, what in the hell what are these?
Yeah.
But they've both been like great picks. Honestly, what I'll submit is the video of me picking that. Not because it gets me out of the gutting, just because honestly, this is by far the best lock I've ever picked.
So what is your comfort lock? What do you always go back to?
This is gonna be downright blasphemy. I can hear the audience groaning as
Mhm.
I even look at it, but it's a Master Lock 575.
Ooh, wow.
The dead core in it is kind of the same reason I liked the 75. This particular one has decent feedback. I have no idea where the key went to it. I've had this one since I was in the military, and
Wow.
no idea where the key is. But this is my like I fall back to. I pick it every time. This is kind of my warm up lock.
Mine were always 6835s. I always go back to those. And I have one of those that I sit there and pick at too. Um, my comfort locks are the 6835s that and the 7240 Avises. I like those because they got the spools in it. Something about the spools. Yep, right there.
Got
Um,
a pair of them.
I love spools. They're probably my favorite type of pin to pick. I just love the feedback and the way you gotta, you know, let off tension and then bring it back and
Oh, that light bulb for me came on with the 7550
yeah.
from Avis, like grasping the concept of float tension
Yeah.
and actually float picking was just I remember I came back into the Discord and I was like, guys, I figured it out. And I posted the video and they're like, you picked the lock. How'd you get it open? And I was like, oh, it was really simple. I just listened to everything you guys actually told me to do and then did that. And magically it worked.
Right.
And I remember Spicy going, God, I think he's cracked the code, guys.
He's figured us out. We must run.
Right? It's an amazing concept. When you actually listen to the advice that's given, all of a sudden things start happening.
Yep. And the funny thing is there's a lot of things I pick in odd ways and different and explain a little different than other people. And it's so funny to me how one person can explain it one way and somebody just doesn't get it, and then somebody else explains it and they're like, "Oh, I get it." I it's really fascinating to me when you're basically saying the same thing, but I don't know. I find it fascinating.
Oh no, I do too. I I also find it fascinating how many people just like absolutely like guts hate a lock. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I do not love my pack lock. Like, I'm pretty sure they heard me talk about how much I loved my Avis because it was crisp, and they're like, ah, we normally give him crunchy. Let's give him extra crunchy in his locks.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like I don't ever like, with one shining exception, this rat bastard right here.
Oh yeah, that's a little ace locks. I'll tell you what, and I'll tell the audience and everybody out there, if you really want to test your skills, go get the equivalent of all these locks that they have in Ace brand at the Ace hardware store, and then we'll talk about how good you are.
100%. I have probably 15 gigabytes of video right now of me attempting the blue whale challenge. Before I picked up those Master Lock 141s this week. Where I would pick my little white belt, no name laminated, life's good, get into the yellow belt. 10 minutes later, that damn Ace padlock is still not open, and I'm like, what the hell?
Ace padlocks are no joke. They're no joke, and I don't think they get the credit
Genuinely,
they deserve.
that one came off of my Forerunner. I've got a swing out rear bumper on my Forerunner
Yeah,
with 2 jerry cans, and that's where I took that one off of.
nice.
Um, and honestly, it's about to go back there because I'm sick of looking at it, and I hate that little bastard.
Yep. I think my most hated locks. I finally I picked one years ago and put it down, and I'm like, you know what? I don't give a shit if I ever pick another one of those again. And it's my nemesis keyway is Schlegs. I had to have
Yeah,
my good buddy G Keyman. He made me a bunch of Schleg keyways to practice on. I finally beat the keyway, and it isn't as big a problem for me anymore. But the quick set, those quick set locks, I have no desire, no nothing to ever pick another one of those because they are nothing but a pain.
I hate this little thing.
Oh,
It's Quickset Lock Gen 2.
yep.
Um, Dude on Reddit had a bunch of them, was offering them up to people. Literally shipped them from Canada to me for nothing. I was like, you know what? I'll take a pair. And I have spent hours at my desk making sales calls, sitting here picking this thing, and I still don't have a damn clue what's going on inside this lock. Like normally after 45 minutes, I can be like, oh hey, I got a false set, or oh hey, I'm starting to understand what the lock feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always surprised when I hear the sliders fall in this thing. When I'm done tensioning it, I'm like, all right, let's get a reset. And I hear things fall, and I'm like, oh, I did something while I was in there.
Right? Yep. Those are. I hate them. I hate them. I have no desire to. If I had to get into one, I would just put a screwdriver in it and twist it. You know?
Yeah. Um, when I worked for Papa Lock, in my area, when we started out, quick sets residential quick sets were considered easy, and schlegs were considered hard. Anything more than that was considered call the locksmith on call, and he'll come drill it or cut it.
Really?
And so now I look back on that, and I'm like, I actually called one of my managers when I picked my 1100 the first time.
Yeah.
I called him and I sent him a picture of it, and he's like, "Bro, I know you lying." He's like, "Is that a American 1100?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That is wild. I would have never even bothered to try to pick it." And I was like, "Yeah." What's really wild, because he was a martial arts guy, I was like, "That's considered a green belt lock." And he's like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Let me give you the scope. Quickset smart locks are considered a purple belt lock." And he's like, what the hell is a black belt lock then? Because we were told quicksets were unpickable. I was
Jeez.
like, wait till you see the diabolical things that happen at black belt 1 and 2, bud.
Yeah. There's some
So, like,
crazy stuff. So, what is like
oh
your
yeah,
go-to pick then? That's one of my big questions I like to ask everybody because I'm fascinated by what everybody falls back to.
I'm I'm a medium hook guy. I like a round like this one right here. It's not a steep hook, but round profile hook. This Covert Instruments is fairly decent. Like it's a 20 thou pick.
Yeah.
So a little bit skinnier. It plays well in Avis keyways. Um, when I worked for Papa Lock, it was a city rake, and if I couldn't city rake it, it just wasn't happening.
You know what I do with my city rakes? I throw them away.
Let them sit. As I say, let them sit. They played pretty well in quick-set keyways, and back then, I was getting paid hourly or by the job, and people wanted back into their house.
Yeah.
So, like, it was more to do with effectiveness. Now I kind of alternate. These are my two big ones right now. Is I've got a little bit steeper hook, a medium reach round profile hook, and then everybody looks at me sideways when I say this, but I absolutely adore a DeForest diamond.
Oh, brother, you are speaking my language.
I
I
do.
love that.
I can reach up and I can slap dimples with it. I've got a little bit more reach to it and some angle and some float. I
I could tell you the whole
Most of the time
story
I'm
of
gonna
the
grab it.
forest. Rytan was the original company that took DeForest. DeForest was the name of a guy who that invented the profile, and he sold it to Rytan, and Rytan had it for a long time. And I have a friend of mine sent me an original Rytan DeForest because I've always liked those, and yeah, but
I
that makes me a little. I'm a little confused. You like the DeForest, but you use a round hook instead of flat hook.
as so surprisingly, yes, I do not. So the way that the DeForest ramps because of the angle, it ramps over a pin really well and lets me put it in a spot. The flat hook I find catches more on the back of the or on the point end here. It
Hmm.
catches as opposed to rides. And I don't like the clicky, like getting stuck and having to wiggle my way through. I don't find as much with the DeForest of doing that.
Ah,
Um, I could also just be a freak. Like that is not out of the realm of possibilities there. But I've got a I thought it was sitting out. Ah, there it is. Yeah, I do have one sitting out. I do have a flat profile hook. But I just it like I said, it gets a little more catchy at the very tip there.
yeah.
And I just haven't enjoyed it as much as the way the DeForest rides
Hmm.
or a more round hook rides.
Interesting. So funny how people's go-to picks and what works for them is. I love that. I would have never guessed somebody that liked, and there's very few of us anymore that I can think of that like the DeForest, you know, and are fans of it. They all seem to be like a flat hook guy. That just
I
took me off
actually
guard.
I actually have started. I was looking at a maybe it was Marson that posted up a pick profile video the other day um, on his page. And I was watching through and I was like, I kind of actually want to try a fine um, round profile hook.
Oh yeah,
Not like a reach profile, but the actual like narrow pinpoint for like picking it pin and pin and stuff and that super precise. I was like, I wonder if I would like that from a profile because the reason I like the DeForest is the kind of the high point on it on a half diamond.
you would probably like, and which is my go-to, is the Peterson Gem in 18,000s. I always
I
fall
could
back
see that.
on it. It has a point and it's pointed and flat at the. I'd pull the one out I got with me. Um, let me see.
I'm also not above modifying a hook by any means. I will gladly pull out my half-inch belt sander
Yeah.
and make modifications.
Oh yeah. Now, granted, this thing I have had for since he introduced them. I ordered it right away, but um, it's
Oh yeah.
a little bent. But that gem in 18,000s or medium hook, I can
So funny
almost
you
any.
should say that. As I pick up my monkey paw and was thinking very similar thoughts about the way the monkey paw profile is,
Yep.
that I was like, that's actually pretty similar to a Peterson gem.
Yep.
And
I've had this for so long. It's so crooked.
as a matter of fact, the longest standing pick I have was from the lockout days, and it's an S rake from Peterson.
Yeah.
And it just lives in my little tool case. I can't tell you the last time I actually even bothered to pull this thing out because I just don't ever need a rake anymore. But
Yeah.
it exists there and probably will live the rest of its life in that case.
Yeah, I need to practice my raking and stuff like that for quick entries and stuff, but it's not as fun to me, you know?
No, I would 10 out of 10, honestly 100 times out of 100. I would rather single pin pick anything than rake it unless I'm like showing off at the bar or something and I want to be like, yeah, I can pick your padlock in like T minus no seconds
Yeah,
and just like throw a city rake in and the Master Lock 3 rolls over
yeah.
because they used the same profile as the rake as they did for half the keys there.
Yep.
But like outside of like bar trick type stuff, like how I was talking in one of the discords yesterday, maybe this morning. I don't know. The coffee's wearing off and it's all blurring together again.
Yeah.
Um, but talking about the Phantasm Industries Master Lock 3 challenge, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know how to zip. Like I've seen it done, but like I've never felt compelled to even try to zip a lock because I feel like the art is in the single pin picking,
Yeah.
not in the entry itself. Like bypass tools are cool. Like don't get me wrong, I've got an Adams right, I've got a commercial hook. I keep those things mostly from the medicine side of when I needed to gain entry and there wasn't a way otherwise to gain entry in an emergency.
Yep. In a hurry.
Correct, but like outside of those instances, like the art is in single pin picking, and I probably the only time in my life I've ever used the phrase "that is where I'm an artist," and like that's where I want to be. I'm not a good artist. I look like a knockoff of Picasso, but you might have gotten that Picasso from Wish.com, but an artist nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And you know what's funny? There really is as much as I hate to say it, there is an art to it, to the zipping and raking.
No, absolutely.
But
Like a lot of people just want to move back and forth in the keyway, like an 18-year-old boy that just got to college.
yeah,
And I'm like, if you put a little up and down motion and some flow to it, like you'll get a lot further.
yeah. I think with me, yeah, I can. If I'm going to rake something to hurry up and get into, I'm just going to bypass it. Throw a hook in there and pop the. You know, there's way easier and faster ways most of the time for worn out outside gummed up locks than to try and rake it. I would just bypass it most of the time. Raking it be my last uh, idea, but um, for me, it's like what you said earlier. It's the puzzle because I think and see in 3D, and I when I'm picking a new lock and even other locks, I close my eyes and I can picture the inside of the keyway, each pin, where they're at, the warding. I can cut it in half and slice it open, and try to figure out by feel and try to see it in my head. And with raking or kinetic attacks, things like that, it just isn't as fun. That's
Yeah, it's the concept of an art versus a means to an end.
yeah, exactly.
Um, I I will never forget the first time that I had the thought process of a lock. It was my American Lock 1100. And part of the reason that I hate it, um, I know everyone's like, "Oh, it's a milestone lock." I'd rather pick a 7240 any day of the week over an 1100.
Me too.
Um, Yeah, they're just crisper. Matter of fact, I haven't even stuck a pick in my Master Lock 410 Lotos because I stuck the key in and was like, "That's disgusting," and just set them down.
Oh, they're a piece. I hate. That's one of the locks I do hate, and I think they're dumb, and I think they should take them off of like the LPU and stuff like that, and be like, listen, these things are a piece of shit, and you're gonna rattle can
So
everyone.
I yeah, I get that, but I also understand that it's probably the most easily available to the masses, and we're at Greenbelt, you're still appealing to the masses. So, like, I can see why it stays from an accessibility perspective. I just got blessed. I happened to be looking for a new padlock in the Greenbelt range and went down to a local locksmith and I was like, "Hey, do you have any American 1100s?" And they're like, "Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of them." I was like, "Cool, can I have two?" They're like, "All right, what color and do you want them key matched?" And I was like, "No, I'd prefer them different actually." And they're like, I'm like, "Whatever color hits your hand first is fine by me." And they handed me a pair of blue ones. But yeah, I remember sitting there with that American 1100 on the other side of my desk, and I said out loud to it, I was like, "What do you want from me that I'm not giving you?"
Yeah, there's
And
some of them
I
that
looked over at my pinning mat and the key was just sitting there like that. And I just looked down at the key and I looked back at the lock and I was like, "Fuck you, lock." And I just quit picking. I was like, "I know you want the key and I'm not the key, but also fuck you for that."
yeah, there's 1100s that just they have my number. I got so frustrated with one. I took a couple years off, and I had to get my life straightened back around after a whole mess. And so I didn't really pick anything for a couple years unless I needed to or I had something at the moment, and I just had my pocket pick, and all my stuff was in storage, and um, so I come back, and this isn't like riding a bike. Yeah, you understand everything, but you got to get that feel back. And
Uh-huh.
um, I struggled with this green American 1100. I popped everything else. I started getting my mojo back and everything, but there's just this one. And mind you, it was master keyed too, so that was a little bit of it. But still, I should have been able to get it. Until
I personally I take an unpopular stance that I think it's easier to pick master keyed locks
I do too.
be- because you statistically have two different possibilities of how you can make that lock open, as opposed to any other non-master keyed lock where you statistically, like, we'll use the pack lock because I know that there's 200,000 combinations. If you give that mastered to me, that cuts it down by at least 50% in a probability that now there's only 100,000 combinations I have to go through before the lock should open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, but like you, I guess I that's an unpopular opinion. I don't understand why,
Yeah.
But this green one that was master keyed, I could not open until I lost my mind. And I shoved it in a box and I messaged Keybeard and I said, I'm sending you a lock. I cannot open this thing. I I don't know what to do. I sent it to him. He goes, oh, I just got a lock from Broke Picks today. Let's open it up. And he opens it up on camera, puts it in thing, opens right up for him. I fuck it. Fuck it. I quit. you know?
I Oh, another one that I didn't mention that I should have in the video was eagle lock picking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super cool guy. He actually lives 10 minutes down the road from me. He's a local.
Yeah.
Um, and he's offered me all kinds of locks on loan. And I'm like, my thing is, dude, I'm scared to get a lock on loan because I'm terrified I'm gonna break your lock. Like, you got all the cool lock, but God forbid I brick a lock that's not mine. Like, that's
Yeah.
just diabolical.
Yep. And I've
But
done
he
that.
lives right down the road, and I cracked up. I had no idea. I'd been talking with him in private messages because JoJo had sent him my way and mentioned that I was in this area. And we got to talking in private messages, and then he popped up in one of the actual servers, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's a black belt! What the hell?"
Mhm.
I was like, "I didn't see that one coming."
Yep. There's so many good pickers out there. I had I guess what do you call it? Visions of grandeur for many years. Like I told you, I'm when I first started, I had I had a Facebook and a MySpace. Okay, when I first learned that there was a
There.
groups of people that picked locks for fun, and I found UK lock pickers, and I thought it was only over there. So I'm hanging out with UK lock pickers over there, and it's not clicking with me that there's pickers over here, and I find like Wiz Wazzle and Bosnian Bill came after that, and lock picking lawyer
I
and all that.
really hate that. I hate that Bosnian Bill has retired.
Yeah, me too. I miss the guy. Um,
I didn't get to meet him in the community, but I remember that like watching his videos when I was teaching myself to pick for Popalock. Like his were the videos that I went to. Lockpicking lawyer, I still find myself going to his mostly for the entertainment of like the concept of security as a facade.
yeah,
Um, and I like the fact that he does destructive entry stuff too, like as opposed to just purely picking content. Like, cool, that lock's super hard to pick and impractical to pick. That's great. I still want to pick it, but
yeah,
I want to know how to functionally open that lock. And if hitting it with a sledgehammer gets me there, hey, I'm cool for the destruction too.
me too. Yeah, I used to really love lockpicking lawyers videos because he used to go into such great detail and depth, and then he opened covert instruments, and his content kind of changed a little bit. And I understand it and
So,
everything. And
so is Covert Instruments his company?
yeah,
Okay. I knew that he had partnerships with Covert. I was unaware that that was actually his organization and his structured company.
yeah, yeah. He probably has other investors and people in there that I'm not. I don't. But
Yeah.
it's basically to my knowledge, all his. But when he got that going, and I felt like his content, he didn't put um, the in depth as much as he used to back in the old days, and which I understand and everything. And I'm not knocking him or anything. I just, like you said,
No,
I.
I could very easily see how it happens. Because let's be real, running a business is a nightmare.
Mhm.
Um, I am starting a business in the medical field now, more in the medical education space. But like I mean, hell, I wear the director title at my current company, and I'm running that business. And even at the director level, I didn't have any idea how much of a nightmare it is owning a business until I actually got there. So I could easily see how that would shift, even though he's still doing things that he's very passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see how the YouTube channel that got him there would fall off in favor of the thing that's paying his bills.
Exactly. And I totally get that. And what I think it is mostly is I would get it if we wouldn't have lost Bosnia and Bill at the same time. And
Yeah,
you know, it was like, oh, the that was a lightning strike of a lifetime that those two were together at the same time. And
both of them being gone around the same time is a proverbial kick in the nuts.
yeah,
From an education and effort perspective,
yep,
like there's tons of guys picking great locks out there on YouTube. Do not get me wrong. I'm not knocking anyone
no,
who's producing picking content of any sort. But those two, especially in the heyday, were just a dream team that built all, I would gather, 90% of the serious pickers in LPU. They stemmed from Bosnia Bill and Lockpicking Lawyer.
mm-hmm. That's
Myself included. Not that I'm a high speed picker by any means. Don't let me throw myself in the same category as some of those black belts. Um,
yep. And I
but
was too stupid
like
to even know there was lock picking around in the United States until they came around. And then I was like, oh my God, there's a whole other community. I thought this was only over there.
right? I am surprised by the depth of it every day because I truly anticipate, like, even now I feel like this is kind of a fringe hobby,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get on like Reddit or oh something that I how did I not talk about this at all in the initial interview? So I built a live document for lockpicking challenges
Yeah.
because there is no like fundamental place for all of them to exist. Like you just kind of have to stumble on somebody else doing it or like be told about it for them to like exist in your world.
Well, you're in uh, Broke University now. That's what, and I've had some things go on where I haven't been able to be as uh, hands on the last about 6, 7 months. But that's my goal with Broke University is to gather all this content, um, tips and tricks, and things that are gonna get lost to time, and um, the old ways, and uh, where we. I'm trying to compile a database with this, so you can go ahead and upload it into Broke University. I'll get you your own area in there, and my goal is to one day have a school of lock picking, locksmithing, things of that nature.
Let's see. Copy responder link. I think that's what I want. We'll see in the preview there in a second. Yeah, it looks like it. I just sent you a DM real quick with both of those links as well.
Oh, awesome!
Um, because yeah, I was sitting there. I was actually talking with Noki while I was doing this, and I was like, it's really dumb that I didn't know that there was a 10-minute time limit on the dual hand challenge until after I had already tagged people on YouTube about it, and then realized, oh my god, my pick is 10 minutes and 42 seconds. Let me go see when I stuck the freaking pick in the keyway the first time and see if I made the cut.
Oh
And
yeah.
I literally like I think it was plus or minus 2 seconds. Like when I think it was legitimately like 9:56 or 9:58.
I love that you collected all these challenges. That's awesome because I quite thoroughly enjoy them. I haven't had the time lately to get into it, but I usually enter as many as of them as I can, you know. And
Yeah, and I think it's a really great community one. Matter of fact, I was talking with Swiss Lock Whisperer on Reddit the other day. I mentioned that I might take his back out of there because his patch is limited to 90, and for the dual pick challenge, because I think it's blue and above, you have to pick a disc detainer, a dimple, and a pin and tumbler in one continuous video.
yeah,
Um, and so I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna hide yours for a little while. Maybe I'll make all the text on yours white so nobody can see it until I get mine in. Because I'd hate for you to run out of patches between now and then.
I know I want that. I want to do that one so bad. I haven't had time. I like to get the ones with the patches. I did a challenge where you got a challenge coin and stuff a couple years ago,
Yeah,
and uh, I
like
love that. Some people find it like, oh, you need a patch or anything, and I'm like, no, I just man, there's very few things in life
yes,
that I truly felt I succeeded in and am proud of. And when I'm gone, I'd like my kids to and grandkids to be like, look what Grandpa did. You know that he did
first
something.
off,
You know, besides
first
me.
off, screw anybody who's like, oh, you need a patch too. Fuck yeah, I need a patch. Like, first off, that patch is cool. Second off, screw you if you don't like a patch. Go off somewhere and quit ruining my day.
Yeah,
Because hell yeah, I want the patch. Like I did the arguably hard thing and we made it even harder by adding constraints to it. Hell yeah, I want a patch for it.
yeah. I love it. I
Like
didn't.
if somebody went through the effort of making the patch, hell yeah, I want one. Um but yeah, I realized that like there was probably a lot of green belt and unders that would be interested in things like that had no idea how to do them or they hadn't been around the community long enough to see those. And I was like, why can we not be like, because yeah, sure, a bunch of them are like blue belt, like pick blue belt and above locks, because that's where I think things actually get like legitimately challenging.
Yeah.
um from a like you have to use your head and project a lock for a while. Hi, you're staring at my progressively pinned pack lock right now because it is beating the brakes off of me.
Yep.
So like, but also like them knowing that that stuff's there and having that aspiration of, oh hell yeah, I want to be like them and do, Pete and repeats dual hand challenge or lockpicking engineers one hand picking challenge,
Yep.
or any one of the other ones, the Mile High Club that's currently retired and I'm working with John Picks Locks to revive currently.
Yeah.
um like all of that, like those things are cool, like little things that people want to do. And like, if you can't find it, what's the fucking point of even offering it up?
Yep. I agree with
And
you
so I,
100%. And
I was like, you know what, screw it. I could build a document and somehow I managed to convince the mods of LPU to pin my post in lockpicking serious too. And when I look back on all the pinned posts in there, I was like, wow, I look really funny with a green name in there, stacked with all them red, brown, and black
mhm.
names.
Yep. Yeah.
But
I love winning the
I mean,
patches and
hell,
stuff. That it's all over my walls and everything. It's something that I accomplished that wasn't illegal or um
right?
you know, it's something I'm proud of to show I can hand down and people won't think of me as um other things I did in the past and things like
Oh,
that.
absolutely. I can't tell you how many people when I started working as a lockout tech that looked at me and they're like, Well, at least you found a way to do it legally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that was not the response I was hoping from you. Like, here I am actually trying to put my life together and do something with my life, and your response is, "Well, you found a way to be a criminal, but legally." Like, thanks, asshole.
Yep. That's when I got out of uh, incarceration. Um, all I wanted to do, all I wanted to do since I was 8, 9 years old was to pick locks and crack safes. It was the most fascinating thing I ever wanted to do. And back then, we didn't have the internet and shit like that. It was books I could get out of Soldier of Fortune and little pick sets and shit I could find at the library. So I get out of there, and the first job I went to try to go get, um, and mind you, I was never convicted of anything. So I didn't have a record so they could be like, well, you're just a, I walked up to my local locksmith and I said, what do I got to do to become a locksmith and a safe cracker? I've cracked a couple safes. I can pick some locks. Um, you know, I really, really want to learn it. Do you need a, I said, I'd even work for free till you felt I was ready. And he's like, oh, so you're one of those guys that just wants to learn how to steal shit, huh? I said, no, that's not what I want to do. But is there apprenticeships or how do I become it? And he just blew me off. And I'm not, there was nobody else around me that would. So I never got a
Yeah,
chance to.
I I see a lot. I see both sides of that equation. Like I can see why locksmiths as a whole would be hesitant because to the outside in, like going and working as a locksmith looks a lot like the way into criminality
Yep.
because they learn all of the things that make you more effective at that.
Mm-hmm.
But even like me, like I'm sure I probably get looked at that way. I mean, hi, you've seen all day. I've got blasted knuckles and my septum and my ears are stretched and like covered in tattoos. So I get that look all the time. And I'm like, yep. And the funny part is I'm a business owner and I am the person that will be there when you call 911 and you won't have any judgment of me then. So why are you judging me now?
Yep.
But I can see why locksmiths are in the barrier to entry and in that filtering range
Yep.
because it does not take a lot of knowledge to take you from being a bad criminal to a good criminal.
Yep. I can see that. And
I still hate that it happens though because like for you like that deterred you from a lifelong pursuit of picking locks both professionally and for fun.
yep, it really did it. It was a kick in the gut. And I ain't gonna lie, I spent my entire life as a criminal and a piece of crap after that, but I never, it never crossed my mind. I didn't steal shit, you know.
Yeah.
I ran schemes, cons, and you know, sold drugs and uh, you know, shit like
Let's
that.
be real. In 2026, I'm not even sure you're doing life right if you're not contemplating whether it's more effective to do drugs or to sell drugs.
Yeah,
Like, let's just put that, like, looking at it now, I'm like, I could have been a drug kingpin and at least I could have driven some really fancy cars for a little while.
yep. And not once through that whole time that I was just a complete piece of shit, did it ever cross my mind to use my lock picking skills and safe cracking skills to steal anything from anybody, or break into something or anything like that. It was always
Yeah.
something else, you know? And I hate that the locksmithing community is like that. And there's a lot. There's a locksmith up in Alaska when I lived up there. That guy's a fucking jerk. And I just stopped in and asked if he had anything. And I can't remember. I usually bring donuts or something. I bring a locksmith donuts and stuff like that and say, hey, brought you some donuts. You guys got any old locks or anything laying around you want to get rid of? Because I collect, I pick, I I just want to learn about it. You know, I'm retired now. I couldn't do this as a job, but it's always been my passion, you know, and things like that. And I do lock sport and all this, and it's a coin toss on whether you're going to get treated like a criminal or just they're a
Oh yeah,
jerk about it.
I I felt I won't say his name specifically, but I felt an individual at all padlocks turn up their nose at me um when that we were trying to sort out my order because some stuff was on back order. Like, no big deal. You don't Not everybody keeps stock of every single Abus model that exists.
Yeah,
Like, that's fine. So we were talking, and I just casually asked, I was like, hey, there's a lot of talk about y'all in the lock sport community. You know, I've had a relatively positive experience compared to some others that I've heard mentioned. Do you have any like coupon codes or anything that, I could share with the masses and bring y'all some more business? Oh, no, we don't really like do that or want that. And I was like, oh, okay.
already. You don't want money from us? That's fine because we spend a lot of
That's
money.
fine. Like, yeah, like, I mean, that was on the tail of a $270 order from them. Like, that was while we were working out the fulfillment details on a $270 order. And I get that I didn't buy, 100, Master Lock 410 Lotos. So I'm probably not their, desired customer. But I'm like, I just spent like nearly $200 on random locks from JD in the Netherlands. Uh, like 150 euro, somewhere in there. But the conversions, when we stopped using, bald eagle piss as the measurement,
Yeah,
I got confused and was just like, whatever you say I owe you is what I owe you.
yeah,
But yeah, I was like, all right, that's fine, because like you had more locks that I had planned on buying. That's fine. I will buy direct from Avis now. Since you drop ship most of your Abus shit anyway,
yeah,
like, I'll just go direct to Abus for it. And like, cause I want to do some challenge locks with some 7240s. I want to do some little swamp edition challenge locks that are gonna just be absolutely diabolical.
yep,
Um, Threaded pin stacks the whole way up on serrations.
yep. There's there's
Yeah.
so many avenues. That's what I love about this sport too, is that there's so many avenues you can go down. You can go down dimples and uh, um, key impressioning, um, safe dials. You can um, challenge locks. You know, and I can just keep going on and on. And it's a lot of people. I burned myself out at one point because, dude, before my accident and stuff, I had money. You know, and I lost my business because of it and shit like that. Now I'm on a fixed income, but I had money. I spent ridiculous amounts of money on this, and for that place to do that to you is astonishing to me because it isn't even like they were selling you picks or books on how to get into anything. They were selling you locks. Man, if I just sold locks, whoever wants to buy it, I'll sell it to you, you know?
like who gives a shit who's buying the lock and what the purpose of the lock is?
Yeah.
Like I was more than a little surprised at the scoff and just like the like I could feel the conversation turn when I mentioned it because
Mhm.
I really didn't like expect them. I figured they're like I expected them to be like, oh, that's weird.
Yep.
Because I feel like that's what a lot of like non-lock pickers look at us. They're like, that's weird.
Yeah. If
And that would have been fine, but it was more of that ugh, like disgusting kind of feel from that turn of the conversation
Yep.
that led me to like, cool, I'm gonna get my locks, and I'm not unhappy with like the experience I've had with you guys, but I won't buy anything else from y'all.
Yep. Yep. I think.
I'll like when it comes to cuffs and stuff because I think their sister company does like some cuffs and stuff for like the security and law enforcement industry too.
Mhm.
Um, I was like for cuffs and stuff, I'll just go to Southern Specialties.
Yeah. Those are
Lock,
great
I
guys
think it's
there.
lockpicktools.com.
Yeah.
Um, or I'll go to Handcuff Warehouse like for the more obscure cuffs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, other than that, I'll just go to the bazaar and buy stuff there, like
Yeah. You can
because
go. And this is a good thing for the community to. I should do a series on this on places to go to find locks for cheap. Because like you just said, bazaars, flea markets, which are the same thing, um, garage sales. You go to your what is that called? The shoot, it'll come to me in a minute. Um, Habitat for Humanity.
oh yeah, that one was mentioned the other day on one of the discords was going into Habitat for stuff.
Dude, I find so many locks there. Uh, it's not always because come to find out later on, I didn't know I had some lock sporters in my area, and me and G Key Man were hitting the same habitat, and I was like, man, I know. I had somebody tell me when they'd get locks in, then he would get there before me, before I met him, or I'd get there before him, and then we met and we've been close, great friends ever since. And yeah,
Wiping each other out on locks the whole time.
yep, and digging through, going to AutoZone and O'Reilly's after a rainy day when everybody comes in and gets new wiper blades, and we're digging through the trash, getting the uh, wiper blade inserts out of there to make turning tools and stuff. Yeah, they're
You know what? That's something that I need to do. I feel like it's a pivotal experience that I have not done yet. I have not made a turning tool out of a wiper insert.
no, yeah, it's.
Nope.
I think everybody should. I think everybody should make a handmade set of picks for themselves and a turning tool, and because it not only you can take the lock apart and look at all how it works and how things work in it, but if you build the tools to get to it and maybe try to put your own um, spin on it or something you think might work, it gets what we were talking about earlier, critical thinking and things like that going. I think everybody should at least try that part of the sport if you uh, are only doing like pin and tumblers and that's all you want to do. That's fine, but I think you should try to make picks and try to make it easier for yourself. I think it teaches you a lot.
Oh yeah. I and that's why I had that kind of light bulb moment just now, and I was like, I haven't done that, and I feel like that's kind of a quintessential rite of passage
Yep,
in the community that I'm like, we just like I need to get off my ass and do it.
yep. And you'll be proud of it. You'll be like, I made that. I like people have sent me uh picks that they've made, and man, I cherish those. that somebody
Oh
made
yeah.
those for me and stuff like that. And I've made picks for them. Like when disc detainers really got super popular because of Bosnian Bill and Lockpicking Lawyer when they did that Sparrows thing. And God, for the life of me, my brain is not working today. The other guy that made the disc detainer picks over in Europe. Um,
The one that makes the RWBs.
yeah, RWB. Jesus, man, the the
I only
dimensions.
know because I've been researching them this week, so they're still fresh in mind. I actually did end up buying a Sparrows just because I figured I could get a base handle that's good enough and then make my own tips for it.
Yeah, I used to make tips when they first came out. Man, I was making so many tips for everybody because I've made every tip you can imagine for those and the RWBs and all that. And I made a lot of money off of it making those because it takes some time and you got to do it right or else they break and shit like that. But like the Sparrows, the tips are junk. You might as well just take the tips that you got there and throw them away and make your own because those are going to upset
Yeah.
you. But
Realistically, I figure it'll get me through this. It'll get me through this Chinese greenbelt disc detainer,
yeah,
and get a feel for the concept and find out whether I hate it or not. If I hate disc detainer, because it's kind of polarizing, people either love DD or they hate it. Um, so I figure that get me through it, and if I like it enough that I want to do it again at the blue belt level with the kryptonite bike lock that's hanging around my bike right now, like I figure if I want to do it again, then that's when I'll get into making tips. But I'm only in it, 40 or $50 if I never want to pick it up again.
keep reminding me. I'll send you a tip because you said it might get you through that one. I've had that lock. Yeah, it might. It might.
It might not.
I doubt it, but it might. Um, I, I'll
Yeah,
I'll send you a tip because they're just brazed on. The tips are just brazed on. I make them out of injector pins to where it isn't gonna slip off. And when
yeah,
they're
it's
brand
one
new,
contiguous piece of metal.
yeah. So I'll send you one. I got some laying around, but
I know.
and
I'll
I
tell
would,
Broke Picks we gotta go home.
yep.
It's past the puppy's dinner time.
All right, yeah, I'll let you go. But the last thing, I would pick the kryptonite before that one, and I'd try that one, but the kryptonite's probably going to give you a better time. But man, thank you for hanging out. I enjoyed every minute of it, and we'll have to do this again. And
Absolutely.
yeah, but keep on me because I don't remember stuff. I'll send you a, pick tip.
Absolutely. I'll text you about it, sometime next week since it's the holiday weekend and everything.
Yeah. Alrighty.
But yeah, I appreciate that more than you know, sir.
Anytime. Thank you for being
All
on.
right, thank you much, sir. Yep.
I'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.